Hi everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing this absolutely beautiful custom fit long line underbust corset made by Il Corsetto di Artemis. This company is a one-woman business run by Elisa, who lives in Turin, Italy. So here is the front, the side, the back, and the other side. Because this corset is custom fit, I won't go into too many details about the measurements, but the center front length here is about 13 inches, and at the princess seam from underbust to lap is a little bit longer than 10 inches. So even though the length of this is very similar than many off-the-rack corsets I had reviewed in the past, it's actually the distribution of the length that's more important. I have a low waist and a long waist, so I have about 6 inches from my waist to my underbust measurement. So for many off-the-rack corsets, this measurement actually comes up being a little bit too short. So I have a good inch or two between the underwire of my bra and where the corset starts. Whereas this one, because it's custom fit, it actually contours directly under my bust line, so it's more comfortable for me. And I don't have any of that kind of squish coming out on top of the corset. Also, from the waist down to the lap area is very short on me, so for some off-the-rack corsets, even though the total length might seem like it's long enough, I might actually have problems sitting down comfortably in this. However, in this corset, I find that I can sit down comfortably in it for hours. In terms of the silhouette, I really like the tapered rib cage here. It's almost conical, and then it swells out to this cupped area here over the hips. So because the hips curve over top, it's not pinching my sensitive hips. It's not causing any pinching or pain or numbness, which is really important for me. Now, if I turn to the profile, I do notice that there is a little bit of dishing in the front busk here, and there's a reason for this. I'll go into more detail about the busk later on, but basically we had wanted the hardware of this corset to match the rest of the corset. So there is a black busk in the front here. If she had used one of the heavy-duty busks that you can only get in silver, then of course the center front would be a little bit straighter, and you know, they wouldn't have the dishing here at the waistline and swelling over the lower tummy. But because we wanted the busk to be black, then this was a bit of a compromise in this situation. She did add some extra flat steel bones beside the busk though to help a little bit with the stiffness of it. In the back here, I find that I don't get a lot of muffin top, so I like how smooth it is, and I like how high it comes up in the back. It is not, you know, interfering with my shoulder blades. I still have full motion, but I'm not getting a lot of the flesh spillover. And I think what also contributes to that is the fact that the rib cage was drafted wide enough, because I have a fairly broad back. So when I'm corseting down my waist and my flesh is displacing upwards, there's somewhere for it to go, and it's not going to be spilling out. So I like this smoother effect that this gives. So here is the corset laid flat. For the materials, it has 3 layers of fabric. This outer fabric is a cotton-based satin, and so it is not extremely shiny, and it's breathable. It's a natural fiber. It feels really, really nice to the touch. Actually, if you go onto Il Corsetto di Artemis website and look at the feature page for this particular style, she gives you the link to the fabric site where she found this fabric. The interlining between the 2 layers here is a black coutil, and then the lining here, as you can see, is a very vibrant pink cotton twill. So here you can see the official label, and you can see the pink and black theme. I also want to bring your attention to these beautiful flowers here. So you can get custom color and fabric flowers of your choosing because all of these are actually handmade by Elisa. You can see on the underside it actually attaches with safety pin. So if you want to wear this corset under your clothing, you can detach the pins here, and you can even, you know, take off one flower and put it somewhere else on your outfit, so you have, you know, sort of a matching ensemble. I think it's a really beautiful effect how the edges of each of these petals here look a little bit seared and, you know, a little bit soft and fraying. I think it's gorgeous. This corset is drafted with a 6-panel pattern. 1, 2, 3 makes the front, 4, 5, 6 makes the back here. And you can see the first panel here is actually quite swoopy. It goes in at the waist and back out again. And then panel 2 sort of follows that, and you can see the curve of the hip over between panel 3 and panel 4 there. And this corset was drafted custom to my measurements. Now for the construction, Elisa says that she fused the cotton satin and the interlining, the couture, together, and so she treated that as one layer. And so she sewed this whole layer, assembled those panels all together, and then assembled all the lining panels together, and then anchored them at the seams. So it is technically a sandwich method of construction. And between each panel, you can see that there is a top stitch, and it is double boned on each seam. So the bones are sandwiched between the layers. And if I pull this up close, you may be able to see the pink contrast stitching here on the outer fabric. And I think this looks really sweet. I really like the look of bright contrast stitching. As I wear this corset more and more, I find that because of the tension at the waistline here, the threads can look more offset. And as I wear it more and more, it can look more wobbly. I found this to be fairly normal of all the corsets that I own. It just seems to look more noticeable in contrast stitching. So if you're considering buying a corset that has contrast stitching, then just keep this in mind. And if I open up to the inside here, you may be able to see the outline of the waist tape here. It's about 1 inch wide. You might be able to see it going across like that. And it's invisibly stitched between the layers. And I can see that it starts right there at the center front seam by the busk and goes right back to the grommets. And the binding here is made with a commercially purchased pink satin bias binding. It's machine stitched on the outside and also on the inside here. So you can see on the inside it has a neat, like a tidy little lip here. And on the outside it is mostly stitched in the ditch there to hide the seam line. And you can see here on the corners they're hand tacked down so that on the front side it would lay nice and neat and match up properly. This corset does come with a Modesty panel, and it's quite wide. It's actually 7 inches wide, and it is quilted. You can see these lines of stitching going down here, but it's not stiffened with bones per se. It's finished in the fashion fabric here, the cotton satin, and then on the inside you can see it's finished in the same pink twill, which I actually think is really cute, because if I was feeling up to doing something different, you know, I could just turn around the Modesty panel if I say wanted the pink behind the laces, and I can certainly do that. You can also see that she has a smaller label on the outside of this Modesty panel here, and it is surrounded by the same pink binding. The busk in this corset is 12 inches long because that's the length of busk that I needed for my torso length. If you have a shorter torso, obviously she would use a shorter busk for you. And it is extended right, you know, it completely fills that center front. It goes right up pretty much to the edge of the binding, which I appreciate. So, you know, the top and bottom edges are not really floppy or anything. It is a standard width busk, so it's 1/2 inch on each side. It has 6 loops and pins all equidistantly spaced. I really love the fact that she used a black coated busk so that the hardware would match the rest of the corset. I think that makes a really beautiful final effect. The black busks do tend to be a little bit more flexible. However, she added a 1/4 inch wide flat steel bone on either side of the busk to help increase the stiffness of it. But if you don't care about having a black busk and you're fine with a silver busk, then absolutely Elisa can use like a heavier duty busk that's more stiff in the front if that's what you prefer. This corset has a total of 24 steel bones, 12 on each side, so you can see that my magnet is pulling on these steel bones here. It is double boned on the seams mostly, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 9 right there because that would have been a bit of a tight squeeze. So these are spiral steel bones on the seams, and then at the front by the busk here is a flat steel bone to stiffen the busk, and also 2 flat steel bones in the back on each side to sandwich the grommets. There are a total of 26 grommets on the back of this corset, 13 on each side. They are size 00 internal diameter, and it has a medium width flange around it. They're all holding in very well. You can see that they're all equidistantly spaced, about 1 inch apart, maybe a little bit more than 1 inch apart. And on the underside here, you can see there's a nice big washer. All of these have rolled really nicely. I don't see any catching on the laces, no fraying or pulling away of the fabric around the grommets, so they're all holding in very well. The laces here are double-faced satin ribbon, about 1 centimeter wide, so just a tiny bit shorter than 1/2 inch. So as you can see, it's double-faced, so it's very strong, no stretch to it. It glides through the grommets quite well. It holds the bow really well. I find that it has a quite flat profile if I'm wearing this under clothing, so it works really nicely. The price for this style corset, or something very similar, custom fit, starts at €300, which is about $335 in US dollars. But if you contact Elisa and tell her that you saw this review, she's willing to give you a discount of 20% until the 30th of November. So that is very generous of Elisa. Thank you so much for doing this. And this concludes my review of this custom fit long line underbust made by Corsetto di Artemis. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something new. If you did, please remember to click that button down there and help support the channel. And if you have any questions or comments about this corset, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd be happy to get back to you or forward your questions over to Elisa. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!